All right, so I'm gonna talk about how it led up to this moment here. The whole, the whole me getting left back 2 times. All right, I'm gonna explain that particular thing. So it started. Besides this, it started from this girl here, PS5. All right, so I'm gonna put at least. I'm gonna talk about first and second grade, and I'm gonna also talk about this place that I used to live in, and the place that I used to live in, and talk about what happened, how I reached to that point. So there would be a part two to this video. So it started during first grade. All right. So when I was in kindergarten, the teacher wasn't aggressive towards me. Only my classmates in kindergarten. All right. My classmates would do, such as the males would do things that other boys don't do, which where they would touch my private part or pinch my private part, in the bathroom. All right, things that little boys aren't supposed to be doing, or do things with one another in the bathroom. One of the things they'd be doing, things that I never seen, or use swear, or they would start to curse, use profanity. All right, but I noticed something wasn't right when he was doing that. But then again, it happened in first grade. So when in first grade is where the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence and the software engineers, such as the high authority NSA, high authority, not no low authority NSA software engineers, the high authority software engineers and the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence took advantage of me during first grade. So first grade is where I had a teacher named Miss Ferrari, and I had at least around 20 kids in my classroom, around 20 to 30 kids in my classroom. And during the time, I noticed that the kids would just, their attention would focus on a particular thing that I do in the class. And during the time is where the teacher had recommended me that I need to get my hearing check. So they would send me to a special room, right? And in PS95 Q, and they would keep putting headphones. They would put headphones all the time. It's like it happened more than one time where they sent me to this special room where this Guyanese lady had instructed me to put these headphones in my ears, and she also starts to put the headphones in her ears, and she would press the sound of the button by means and want me to raise either one of my hands to see if what I'm hearing actually collaborating with the sound. By means it collaborate more like if I'm known entirely if I can interpret the sound because of what the teacher had said about my listening comprehension. If there's something wrong with my auditory system, or if there's something wrong with the way I learn, my learning capabilities. So it started from first grade, immediately at an early stage in the education system, not giving me a break at all. And I was a very stressful kid. You know, it's not like I can actually be a person, a happy little kid going to school, or it was something that I had to take notice on. All right. So I ended up coming back to the same room and doing the same thing. And they had diagnosed me as having learning disability. And they put me in a special ed class. And I had a teacher named Mrs. Dr. Gamboa. And I had a classmate, but how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence do it. It's either something happened to Mrs. Dr. Gamboa by means health wise, so she ended up getting replaced because she ended up she ended up unregistered to the system. By means you call it deaf, I say unregistered. And my other classmate got run over by a car. She got unregistered. You call it deaf, I say unregistered. And I had another classmate, and all of a sudden during first grade. So this is all influenced by people entirely, their behavior. It had nothing to do with my schoolwork. It has something to do with my classmates and my teachers' behavior. I also remember that my mother had gave Mrs. Ferrari perfume, but the teacher kept saying every time I encountered the teacher, Miss Ferrari, she keeps saying that she doesn't know how to open the perfume because it's difficult to open the perfume. And I noticed that my classmates would just, they would do things that other kids wouldn't do. It was unusual around me, or say unusual things around me, or when I bring my snack to class, I noticed that there was a kid who stole my snack, my cereal, and he did it right in front of my face. All right, my cereal stole my cereal, and I ended up getting back at him by putting boogers in the cereal. All right, because I seen that more than one person had done the same exact thing. They do it in front of my face. They'll say these personal things in front of my face about me, how they think, how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence releases these batches of algorithms by means based on the allow them to generate these key information based on thought because it runs through a thought interval. So each time there's a cycle of running their thoughts, it generates key information and it releases these batches of algorithms and it makes them the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence makes the students, by means my classmates in the class, think about me. Make sure that they create a fake mentality for them so they can think how the multi-agent quantum artificial thinks about me as a child so they can isolate me and make me feel helpless, including the teacher. All right. So there was a time where my mother gave me lunch money, and this was in first grade, and I couldn't find my lunch money, but I had suspected. Actually, I haven't suspected. I have followed the patterns entirely, and by means to the point that I knew who actually stole my lunch money at the time. All right, and I felt completely helpless. Not only that, I felt life threatening by the people in by my classmates, and telling the teacher what to do, telling the dean do. You know, I'm just saying, why is it that every single person are not wanting to communicate with me? Because they're supposed to be adults and they're supposed to be responsible for all the children in that school, and they're not wanting to communicate with me at the time, even though I'm asking for their help. So, like I said, I'm a person. I was a kid that always do things for myself by means without people's help because that I know that the people was been completely reprogrammed at that particular time, since the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence automatically set them to not want to communicate with me properly. The only option that I have to do is, try to get back my money, lunch money. I was so what I did was take a scissor, right, and disassemble the scissor by means as a kid. I disassembled it and I took the sharpest part of the scissor and I was trying to use it to intimidate the person who stole my money, you know. But I reacted. I've completely overreacted, even though I was trying to intimidate the person. All right. When I noticed that they weren't communicating with me like how the adults would, it's like as if someone was distracting them from being able to communicate with me because they seem to not give any feedback, no response back to me. As how people would do it at this present time is when I communicate with them, they start having a conversation with other people while I'm talking, when I'm trying to explain something to them, or start singing when I'm trying to explain something to them, or start humming when I'm trying to explain something to them, or they would get easily provoked by me when I try explaining something to them, as if they are familiar with my responses before I said it. So that's the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence who simulated it. All right, by means simulated my responses and made sure that they completely cut me off. So I ended up slashing the kid in the head because I overreacted. I wasn't trying to slash him. I wanted to intimidate him so he can, cough up and say, "Hey, I know who," and the person who actually stolen the money, my lunch money, was the girl in front of him who was talking to him. But anyway, the Hispanic lunch lady, had called the dean. Everybody was just staring at us. The kid was bleeding in his head, and During the time, I end up getting suspended from school for 2 months. The teacher, when I my mom takes me to school, Miss Ferry said I cannot be in class. I cannot be in this class. So she always sends me back to the dean. You can't be in this class. Go to the dean office. You can't be in this class each day. But before that, it's where I wanted to say one thing before all that happened. It's where my aunt had one day my mother let my aunt stayed by here this apartment for at least a week, maybe a few days or a week, and she took me to school around 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And what she did here was it was dark outside, right? And I said, and my mom specifically said to her to take me to school around 7:30 in the morning, and she the door was closed. She walked me all the way up to here, and she knocked on the door here, right? She knocked, and all of a sudden there was a lady. The lady was a guard for PS95Q, right? And she should be able to know better because she knows at this time kids don't attend school. You know, it's midnight morning. You don't attend school midnight morning, and yet the security guard for the school opened the door. And this is a security guard who's been working in the school for a very long time, but yet she opens the door and she said to me, "Go to your class," without me being supervised. All right. So this is what I'm talking about, how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence runs the thought interval, and it creates a fake mentality for people because she was not thinking of me as a student at the time. She was thinking of how the multi-agent quantum artificial was thinking at the particular time. So I went up to class, and the whole entire school was dark. I went up to my first grade class, and it was it was empty and dark. I went to the auditorium. It was dark. There was not a single person in the first floor, or the second floor, or the third floor. Only the security guard. All right. So I went back down, and my aunt and the security guard was staying in the same spot as how I left them. And the aunt stood there as if she knew that I was going to come back down. You know, what happened there? I'm saying to myself, what is going on here? So this is something that happens all the time to me. Or people would say that something's wrong with me entirely. They would just say that. They would say it in a phrase. They don't need they're used to the way they use the word something's wrong with me. The way they phrase the word something's wrong with me. I learned that I learned they're missing information. They're missing information entirely, completely missing information about me, and someone distracted them from being able to retrieve that information to interpret what just happened. That means to interpret the situation. So it's missing. That means that means the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence made sure that the time itself wasn't active to capture the image. It was only active to capture the image based on how the artificial intelligence sets them. So they're on auto set. They're automatically been set by the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence at that particular time. So and my mom during the time with the whole scissor thing, she ended up calling the board of education, and they said to the school that I need to change my class. So I ended up changing my class, and I had another teacher named Miss Rubin. Miss Rubin was a very aggressive teacher. So not only that I've left the first grade class, I went to another first grade class, and it was twice. It got even twice as worse than my original class that I left from. All right. So I'm in my I'm in another class that is completely different, and the kids itself was very cautious of me. Every single thing I say, every single thing I do, very cautious of me, and they're willing to tell the teacher every single thing that I did. Pretty much it. They're ready to inform the teacher every single thing I say, every single thing I did. Not like my first period class where they just personally make personal attacks about me and start stealing my stuff. This class here was very cautious of me by means, ready to report things to ready to report every single thing that I did to my teacher, to the teacher entirely, Miss Rubin. By means, I ended up getting left back anyway. Miss Rubin ended up, you know, giving me promotion and doubt. Ended up getting left back first grade, and I ended up having another teacher when I came back to the school first grade. I ended up having a teacher named Miss Piciano. So this started during September 2001. We had a teacher named Miss Piciano, and things were smooth, running smooth in that class. But then again, Miss Piciano walked funny, so she ended up tripping over my leg. She wasn't she was careless of where she was walking, and she ended up tripping on my leg, and I was held completely responsible for that because she wasn't paying attention. So that's what a multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence do. Makes me hold responsible. Make me I mean makes me hold responsibility over people's actions all the time because she was distracted. All right, she's been automatically set, so she's distracted by the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, and she wasn't able to create her the information on her own to look down and say, "Oops," or no, look down and step over my leg because I had long legs, as a child. Several other things happened in that time when I was in that class, first grade class, and I'm vomiting. I was feeling dizzy, very dizzy. Every time I was feeling dizzy in the morning, because I would get all these dreams, these abnormal dreams from the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence. It would wake me up midnight morning as a child all the time, and I would get headaches during midnight morning all the time, and I would feel dizzy during midnight morning all the time. All the time, it happens all the time, constantly. It picks up, and the dreams always. The multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence would create dreams that picks up from where it left off constantly, over and over and over again. It goes through a cycle. It's so fixated on me, very fixated on every single thing I do, very cautious. It's taken me very seriously, especially not only that, the software engineers, the high authority NSA software engineers. So after all that, there was one particular thing that I did to that teacher, Miss Piciano, was pull her necklace, and I'm getting lectured for it. I was just a child. I see that later on I was not treated fairly, so I reacted to it. It was a reaction, and I ended up getting lectured, and my father ended up hitting me on my butt, slapping me on my butt. Then afterwards, and I'm going to second grade, and I had another teacher, and this teacher was really ridiculous. This teacher was ridiculous. Her name was Miss Slimer, and Miss Slimer was a Caucasian teacher. She was about probably in her 50s, 40s, going in her 50s. And this is a teacher who would have classroom parties. And this is a teacher who would always see me as having some sort of behavior issue going on, that I have some sort of behavior problem. But she doesn't realize that it was the kids in my class. She she mistook the kids' actions. I mean, she mistook, yeah. Well, actually, she didn't follow. She was incapable of following my action entirely or the kids' actions. So the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence translated her thoughts, and I had to be. She had had a fake mentality about me entirely because she held me completely responsible for the kids' actions. All right, that the way they behave, they want me that the teacher want me to be completely responsible for it. She wasn't able to interpret it. And when I had classroom parties, I would bring in chips and I would bring in soda. And she said to me to put my head down on the table and don't participate with the party. And by the time it reaches the end of the period, she said, "Yeah, you can participate with the party." But nope, I barely had anything to snack on or drink. I couldn't even. The kids already had eaten my chips, all my chips, and drank my soda. So I'm just saying to myself, there was barely anything left. That the timing, her timing, saying yeah, you can participate with the party was perfect. So that's the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence simulated that, and it made me feel as if everything's my fault entirely. The same as how she informed the class to do certain things to me. This is a ridiculous teacher. So when I went to recess, I had mentioned about a video about it. Went to recess, and you can see the backyard. So this is a full explanation. All right. This is a school backyard, and the kids is playing basketball right there. You see, yeah, basketball. What is it still there? This is a basketball hoop, and there used to be a Hispanic teacher. She said, yeah, shoot the basketball up." All of a sudden, one of the kids reported to the dean, and the dean said, "Leave my bag there and sit aside." And I'm looking at the kids going through my bag and stealing my things and ripping my up. And when I get to my when my mom, you know, do, when my mom opened up my book bag and she said, "Let me check your homework. Let me do your homework for you, or let's do the homework together." She would say, "I don't understand how you can go to school. How a big boy like you can go to school and then not saying anything to and about about the schoolwork." She would just make she would say about me understanding the schoolwork and then missing things about my stuff, missing things. And look at her, look at her. And she would compare me off. She always constantly compare me off to other kids, constantly, so I can develop. That's a good way. You know what? That's a good way to develop an intention by means for a little child. Make sure that that the person misinterpret that what the way the child is being managed by means in school, and not only school, in their environment entirely, and say specific words to them so that they can actually say that it's their fault so they can develop intentions. And the more they receive these comments, the more they start to develop intentions because they're they're inexperienced when it comes to knowing certain words to use in the situation because they're just a little child and they're receiving these comments from the kids. I mean, actually, yeah, from students and adults from their the person the kid itself is receiving personal remarks from their classmates, and the kid is receiving personal remarks from their parent, and it gets to them. They start to develop intention. I understand this intention how it develops because it happened to me, and I was able to manage myself properly because I knew something wasn't right. Because she comes back, she picks up from where she left off all the time when she does my schoolwork or when things happen to me in school with other children or teachers. She picks up from where she left off with a response, and she said, "Oh, I see everybody. I understand why a big boy like you." And other teachers would pick up from where my mother left off and would mention that I'm a big boy, such as my speech teacher, Mrs. Brown. So the whole second grade, Miss Slimer was a teacher who said to my mother that I don't speak English, I speak African. But hey, I was born in America. My only language that the only language that I know is English. So what other language that I speak? She said if I speak African. All right. This teacher, Miss Slimer. Okay, if I speak another language. All right. To the point that this multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence go beyond making people think beyond crazy, beyond something like that, making people think I don't know how to speak my own language. That's just going too far. or thinking that I'm mentally handicapped, or the whole making people think that I don't speak my own language is far worse than someone being mentally handicapped. The whole mentally handicapped concept is off, just like mental illness. But they have the idea that was created by the legitimate governments, so they purchased that idea. So that's the fake mentality it created. So I said to myself, something's not right here. Something's not right with this teacher. Something's not right with my mother, the way she's speaking to me. Something's not right with my classmates. Because there was one particular time where I went up the stairs. This is second grade, the same teacher that had Mrs. Slimer. And I'm minding my own business going up the stairs. I was in the boys' line, so the boys' line is on the left. The girls' line is on the right. And there's a space between the girls' line and the boys' line, so the teacher can go up, so the teacher can lead the class. So when she's downstairs, she can walk up the stairs first, and then she tells the class to come to the classroom. She said, "Follow me." But this girl named Gabriella said to me, said to the teacher that I slap her in her face. And I'm saying, there's no way I can slap her in her face, and I'm right all the way at the end. My arm is not long enough to slap her in the face. There's distance. There's a big gap between the girls' line and the boys' line. So there's no way. She ended up telling she ended up telling the teacher, and the teacher ended up sending me to the dean, Mr. Polis. I'm getting in trouble for something that didn't happen. So that's the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence that activated that time by means the image in the image. So this follows from the video about how this follows from this video here. All right, just like this video here, where I've seen this back before, the way he's positioned, and the image was unconscious. The image that the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence had simulated was unconsciously embedded in my unconscious thoughts by means, and it synced once I saw a specific image on Capcom Cup by means on Twitch when I was watching PG Infiltration versus Taquito and PG Infiltration versus Gachikun. It activated, and I said I didn't slap her in the face. I simply didn't. My hands was to myself. So where's she doing that? It's the same thing that happened when I was in playing at McDonald's. So this happened during a time where my sister wasn't born. My mom always taking me to McDonald's during the weekend, and I always just spent hours playing around in McDonald's. And I guess this girl did something. There was a reason for it. This girl must have did something to someone or did something to me, and I ended up slapping her in the face. Her father said to my mother, "One day that I'm gonna get locked up. One day that your child right there is gonna get locked up." All right. So this is comments that I received. This is comments. These are big grown adults saying that to kids. That's just ridiculous for me. But in me particular, it doesn't sound right the way he said it to me as a child. I'm just a little kid, and you're saying that I'm gonna get locked up. You don't know that. You wouldn't know that because you're not able to see my future. Just because that's because I did one thing because of that person. That person must have did something, off, and I must have did something back. And that's the kind of person I am. I'm a person that always speak up. I don't just let it slide. I speak up for myself. Or if it happened to people, I speak up for them. I stick up for them. That's me. That's the type of person I am, even though I'm a quiet person. So it follows, just like in first grade, how I ended up slashing a kid with a scissor, and all of a sudden, it happened back at me because it follows the principle of karma, how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence follows that principle. All right. Because during the time, it was around second grade. Was it second? Around that time. Second grade. So I was staying at the babysitter. And the babysitter's Guyanese. She had a son around 3 or 4 years old. So the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence decided to allow the 4-year-old to go climb the cabinet and take out some sort of screwdriver knife. And he ended up slashing the back of my head, the same spot that I slashed the kid in first grade. He ended up doing it back at me. And I said to myself, something's not right. You know, the kid Amir wasn't himself. He wasn't himself at all. He was completely reprogrammed by the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence and received a task by means how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence runs the thought interval to generate the key information and provided information by means of the dot key. So the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence can allow the kid Amir to follow the commanded task because he unconsciously he do not unconsciously know exactly what he's doing. So it made sure that he grabbed that screwdriver knife, and I was sleeping. At least I think I woke up, or I was sleeping. He woke me up by hitting me. I'm not too sure what happened during that time, and I saw blood all over the couch. So that's what I mean by it follows the principle of karma. Just like when I would keep finding $10 on the floor, or finding scratch off on the floor. I found a scratch off on the floor with three sevens, and I ended up winning around $7. So this is what it does. All right, this multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence. So when I mentioned about slapping someone in the face in McDonald's and the whole slapping in the face in second grade, walking up the stairs, me and my mom was going trick or treating. We was going trick or treating, and we came back. We went to this section. All right, and this is the house. All right, I live here. So when I was living here, me and my mom walked to this block, the same block that we live in this house, the same block. So a few years later, we ended up living in this house. But we walked to this block, and we walked all the way straight down, right? And these group of teenagers had stick their hands out and slap me in my face. You see how it rotates. So that's the principle that the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence follows from our karma. So it uses the Bible entirely. It has the Bible data, follows that rules. It applies the rules entirely. And I'm just a little kid, right? So this teacher, Miss Slimer, ended up sending me to summer school, and I ended up getting another ridiculous teacher. This teacher was named Mrs. Wagrash. It's always teachers with ridiculous names, Miss Slimer and Miss Dorash. So it makes sure that I have I'm around one of the ridiculous people and classmates. All right, it always puts me in situations, put me in a helpless situation since I was a child. Just like one time it made me as a teenager. The multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence made my father convince me that my grandmother would be at church, right? And I got to the church. My grandma wasn't in church. She didn't appear that day. So I was just sitting. I was sitting downstairs in church, just waiting for my grandmother, and everybody saying, "Oh, she will be coming. She'll be coming." I wasted my time. I wasted hours. You know, those hours that I wasted could have been spent on my own time in the apartment that I was living with my mom. I said to myself, "This is ridiculous. This is just getting ridiculous. This AI, this thing, something." I said to myself, "Something is ridiculous here." You know. So this teacher was really disgusting because when she talks, you can see boogers in her nose, and her boogers fall all over the place. Ridiculous. And she would come up to my face and start spitting. One of the things that I noticed that the teachers would do, and the classmates would come up to my face. They would just put themselves in front of my face, like my father or the teacher that I had in 11th grade. Just stick their face in front of my face, or a classmate that I do not know, like in 12th grade from my English class. This African American girl, had just put her entire face in front of my face and started speaking to me, and then started to say that I needed therapists. And I don't. There's out of every single quiet person in the class, she picks on me. So that's the task that the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, and she also talks about that she sees me with a light skinned person. So that's my mother. She gives me updates about me, and I always wear a hoodie on my head. Updates. about how she sees me, where I go in Jamaica Avenue. So this is the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence doing that entirely. So this is something that's done more than one time. I say every single day when I was in 12th grade. But then again, I'm just setting an example. All right. When I come back to set example, I'm just telling you how they how they match entirely. So summer school. When I go to summer school, the line itself is right here. It starts from here, not inside the school. It starts from outside the school, the backyard, the school's backyard, lining up. So my mom decided to go to Kissimmee, Florida. She said, "Yeah, you know what? You want to go to Disneyland?" That was 2002. We went to Disneyland. It, there was bad communication happening here because no one informed my mother or informed me that I had to take a test. I had to pass a test in order to move on to the next grade. And like I said, it has to do. It's not focused on my work. It's focused on my entirely the way my DNA algorithms by means the way I'm programmed itself and how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence simulated the line that I was going to go in. Because if I didn't get back two times, I would still be in New York City. I'll probably be going to college. I already be finished college, and I would have a decent job. It didn't want that, so that's why it got me away from there. By means, got me away from the route. It changed my route. It sent me to a completely different route where my mom gets unemployed during the first time I went to high school. By means, made sure during the end of 11th grade and 12th grade, I ended up getting, having being put in another situation while I'm having another situation happening in school. It's ridiculous. So no one informed that I need to take a test for summer school in second grade. So in 2002, my mom went to Florida, and my mom was behaving kind of off towards me in Florida. Started yelling at me, not only that, I met up to kids in theme parks such as Universal Studio, where I was playing a bucket. It was like some sort of bucket, big bucket, and it would be water dropping from the bucket. So this African American girl said something that other people would say in my school. Personal information about myself entirely. The way she was talking to me, really, really off. I never seen how people pick up from one another, but it picks off from where it left off in school. And this is in a different state. This is in Florida, and this is where I've experienced all these things happening to me in New York. Now I'm experiencing in a different state. This little girl said something personal to me, and it was familiar, and it picked off from where it left off. I'm saying to myself, wow. So one day my mom was buying burger. It was in the theme park, and I'm just hiding under the table. I just feel like I just panic. Based on my reaction, I just start panicking because I'm reacting. I'm just reacting to my environment entirely. I start panicking. It may not look like that I have any social anxiety, but I just panic when I know that the way people are reacting towards me. That's what happens to me all the time. I start panicking. My reaction, I start reacting to the way people are behaving off. As I say something, I noticed it. Not only that I noticed it, I'm able to explain it myself. I was able to explain it because when my father took me and my mother to George Beach, right, he ended up throwing me very deep in the water, and I almost ended up drowning. And I couldn't find my mother and my father, so I ended up finding a lifeguard. I was around 7 years old, and I said to the lifeguard, "Mister, I can't find my parents." So, because if I said to myself, if I wander around, someone's going to end up taking me. So the best option that I have at that particular time was to go to the lifeguard, and the lifeguard made sure to wrap a towel around me, and he took me to a building and made me color. He gave me a coloring book and crayons. These things happen to me often, and I'm able to explain the situation. That's basic. It's basic. It's to me, it's easy, simple. It's very simple to explain the situation going on here. I don't have no, I don't have no difficult time explaining it. What the people do to me. Simple. It's too easy. It's too. It's too. It's basic. It's the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence and software engineers, the high authority NSA software engineers, manage humanity at a basic level. It's very basic, so it's noticeable for me. I say it's basic because I notice it and I'm able to explain it. Other people may have difficulties explaining it because they mimic other people entirely. I see they mimic other people, the way people explain things, they mimic it itself. And this is what I'm seeing online with targeted individuals and stuff. It's fake. It's fake because the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence shows you how it manages people in your dreams and how it wants to manage you around people and how it wants to manage the people around you. It shows you that, and it's not supposed to do that. It significantly reflects back on the way you're being managing your environment with people simultaneously, and it's running through a thought interval, which means it syncs. It picks up from where you left off from each human being. One human being may be reading a magazine when you're standing at a cashier. They may the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence may make the person feel interested in reading a book or reading a magazine, and they just place it at an empty cashier, and the cashier the cashier itself is not there. I'm just talking about how I left the magazine right there. So when you stumble upon it, it has a message that can be directed at you. So it works together. It picks up from where you left off, or it can actually use a use someone's make someone have an idea for that particular day to wear some sort of symbol on their T-shirt, and the person in front of you or on a line, in front of you on a line, would have a shirt that says something personal about it may have a specific word or an image, and you say, "Wait a second, I've seen this before," or "Wait a second, something like this happened before." Yeah, it picks up from where it left off. Pretty much it. It's simple, very simple indeed. So I'm just setting an example. So I use how my father took me and my mother to Long Beach, and I ended up getting lost at I mean not Long Jones Beach. Took me to Long Beach. I mean Jones Beach. Sorry, I'm getting a little exhausted, knowing that I'm put in this situation where I had to move to a different state where it's expensive. I'm just getting very stressed out. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep for days before I even know that my mom was about to move. I couldn't sleep. It's ridiculous. This thing is not even letting me sleep. It's waking me up very early. So when I ended up coming back from Florida, Disneyland, I took the Spirit airplane. Me and my mom took the Spirit airplane, the pilot mentioned that we was close to the water. Ridiculous. Scared me off, man. Scared my pants off. So anyway, when we came back and we stand in front of here, me and my mom were standing here, and we asked the person, was it Mr. Polish, someone, and my mom said, "Where's my class?" So she said my name and my last name, and the person mentioned that my class and such, and and my mom's saying, "Wait, he's going back. He had to repeat second grade all over again." And you see, she's looking. I'm looking at her face, and I'm like, "Huh, huh, what?" Because there's been some sort of communication error here going on here with my teacher. No one informed me that I had to take a state test again, and I had to pass it in order to move to the next grade. And I'm just like, "Oh man, I had to repeat. I had to repeat the second grade all over again. Second grade all over again. Yes, indeed." Then after second grade, I had another teacher. I had a. It's everything always focused outside. I had a class. My homeroom class was right here. So this is where my homeroom class was. And during the time, my father always picked me up before I get out of school. So he would always go to the office and he would always call. He would always call my make sure that the front the school front desk office calls the teacher, and the teacher informs me that I need to leave. And he would drop me off to my mom work, and my mom would before he dropped me off, he would buy me Franks and Coca Cola, and I would be sitting in my mom's job locker room eating and just looking at people or playing my Game Boy Color until later on my mom got pregnant, and then we had to end up finding a babysitter once again. And one of the things was that the babysitter apartment was right here, so everything was always near to the school. Everything was focused entirely of living near to the school. It was in front of my face. The school, it was in front of my face. And when I was living in the house in front of the school in 2011. I mean 2008 going on to 2011. I actually encountered my teachers. I encountered Mrs. Piano. I encountered the police. You know. So this is the babysitter apartment. The babysitter where the babysitter son Dennis and Jeffrey. They all gang up on me or say personal things, or Dennis would do things that he shouldn't be doing, like jumping in front of me in the pool and hitting my nose, and Jeffrey ended up hitting some sort of acorn in my eye. All right, everything happened. Everything was close. I said something wasn't up. I said to myself, something is completely off here. Something's just not right. Besides that, I was also getting headaches, and I was also getting dreams. I was getting headaches. I learned that from my headaches that I would get dreams. The dreams, I would sleep into a headache, and I would have felt like that I repeated the day before, or this happened before. My headaches would last for at least 4 days. I would have headaches that last for 4 days. I'll just say 4 days. 4 days, all the time. I would get headaches 4 days straight, nonstop. I would go to school with headaches, nonstop headaches for 4 days straight. All right. So it looks like that's it because my mom is here.